Hello everyone, I'm forecaster Jack Sillin here to discuss the severe weather setup for the afternoon of Thursday, May 17th, 2018. Looking at our GOES East water vapor satellite imagery, starting out here as we always do, we can see a large upper level trough developing, or already developed rather, here across parts of the west coast and into some of the Intermountain West here. A little bit of a swirl north and west of Las Vegas. Southwesterly flow is located out ahead of this upper level trough, and that is helping to form a little bit of an area of low pressure here in the Colorado, Wyoming area. So as these southwesterly winds are forced to interact with the Rocky Mountains, you get an area of low pressure to kind of develop just on the lee of the front range of the Rockies here, and that area of low pressure combined with the general rising motion that we tend to see out ahead of upper level troughs like this is helping to set the stage for some severe thunderstorm activity this afternoon. Looking at our visible satellite imagery, we can see remarkably clear skies here across the area. We have some thunderstorm activity ongoing in the northern part of North Dakota and into northern Minnesota over here, but otherwise more or less cloudless skies all the way from the Mexico border up through the Colorado area, the whole high plains here, seeing plenty of sunshine to warm up the atmosphere, and that warming of the atmosphere will help to destabilize it as we head later on into this afternoon. Here's a look at our surface pressure observations this morning. You can see this area of low pressure just on the eastern side of the Rockies here. Pressure's a little bit lower than the surroundings here. Looking at some of these 1007 millibar readings compared to the 1016, 1015 area over here. So looking for storms to kind of develop, initiate in this area right here, closer to that area of low pressure before they move off to the east. Looking at our thunderstorm composite map here, we can see that we have plenty of instability developing, so southeasterly winds bringing in moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. No shortage of instability here. I talked about earlier, we looked at the cloudless skies, plenty of daytime heating, plenty of moisture, so not worried about the instability here. Looking at some of the wind profiles, you can see southeasterly winds at the surface, becoming southerly in the mid-levels, becoming southwesterly in the upper levels. That favorable rotational wind profile will support severe thunderstorms today. But the one kind of caveat to that is that winds aren't particularly strong. So notice none of these winds, none of these vectors really have much length to them, which means that their magnitude is fairly small, which means we have fairly light winds. And we can see that over here in our shear forecast. Barely 30 knots of shear kind of getting together here across parts of northwestern Kansas, southern Nebraska, even less as you head into the panhandle of Nebraska, parts of northeastern Colorado, southeastern Wyoming, really lacking in the shear department here. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I think storms will be developing, so we won't have to worry about that, but we'll have a very limited window for any kind of discrete rotating updrafts to form before the storms kind of congeal together into more kind of blob-like structures. So if we don't have the shear to kind of organize the storms, then they tend to kind of congeal into those blobs, and we can actually see that depicted very well with our simulated radar forecast here from the NAM model. Again, don't take this as a particular forecast for individual storm cells. So this storm cell depicted here at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central here in northeastern Colorado. This storm could form anywhere in this area, so it's not particularly limited to that one town. Same with any of these storms, kind of could develop anywhere in this area, so don't take it too literally. This is not a precision forecast, but it will give you a good sense of how storms are expected to evolve throughout the day. As we can see quickly, starting out with our initiation here, getting storms going around 5 o'clock Central Time, 6 o'clock Eastern, and then very quickly we have congealed into a kind of these blob-like structures. So this is 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. We have lines of storms here. The primary threats from the initial discrete storms will be damaging winds, hail. Can't rule out a tornado, but tornadoes aren't expected to be the main threat, again, due to that lack of shear. So there's some rotational energy in the atmosphere, but not any strong shear to get some of those very powerful rotating updraft going. But again, can't rule out a tornado, especially when storms interact with boundaries, outflow boundaries, things like that. And then as storms kind of organize into these blobs, damaging winds will become the primary threat as storms begin to move east. So that's a quick overview of what to expect from these storms today, as well as some of the science behind why we're expecting what we are. You can keep tabs on the storms as they develop today with all the tools we have at weather.us. Just to take a quick look at some of those, we have HD radar, you can find that here. Lightning analysis, you can find that here. GOES-16 satellite imagery, we have a variety of different options here. You can go in and look at some of our more advanced radar products. Vertically integrated liquid will give you a sense of where you might find hail. And if we actually click into North Dakota here, we have some signs of hail going on some of these storms up here. So again, this isn't a precise hail measure, but once you start to see values above 30-35 kilograms per square meter, look for some small hail. Some of these 45 to 55 values will give you some larger hail, and then if you see stuff at or above 70, you'll know that large hail is a potential threat with any storms that you're seeing there. You can use these blue buttons to toggle between some of our various storm tracking tools, or you can use the menus over here. That's it for me for now. I'll have more updates this evening. Thanks for watching.